Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I know that one thing a lot of worship guitarists struggle with is when it comes to composing their own parts. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, sometimes when you play a specific song, let's just say you do Lion and the Lamb, then the congregation, they will expect to hear the intro of that song. But for the rest of the song, you have one of two choices. You can either play exactly what's on the recording, or you can find a way to still serve the song, to still serve the congregation, so that they have an atmosphere that they can participate in as it relates to corporate worship, but you don't have to sacrifice any of your own creativity. Think about it like this. When you speak to God and when you pray, you are actually going to use your own words, and you're going to communicate your feelings and your connection to God using your own words, your own phrasing, so it's going to sound like you. If you are going to read out someone else's prayer word for word every time you speak to God, that's going to be a little bit disingenuous because you are saying someone else's words. Now, there's a fine line to tread here because on the one hand, as a guitar player, you are there to serve the song, to serve the congregation in corporate worship, but at the same time, we don't have to try and be copycats and try and play someone else's parts note for note. Secondly, when you record things in a studio, you do multiple guitar parts, so it's kind of hard for you to replicate all of those parts if you are just one guitarist in a band. And also, let's face it, most churches out there don't have the kind of sound systems and the gear and the quality of musicianship and the number of people that you tend to hear when you listen to some of the big name worship artists and recordings. So therefore, you want to find something that's going to be an authentic expression of yourself. It's going to serve your community and congregation, and it's going to be something that you feel you can go ahead and express some of your creative expression as it relates to composing guitar parts. So all of that to say, I'm going to show you some thinking behind some parts that you can tend to play when it comes to choosing something to play. And I'm going to show you a cool way in which you can divide a chord up into 3 different sections. You can either play the chord itself, or you can focus on the low notes, the middle notes, or the high notes. So what I'm going to do now is I've got my looper set up here, and I'm going to quickly go ahead and just do a bit of a jam for you over a 1-4-6-5 progression in the key of C, which will be C, F, A minor, G. That is something that all of us have played countless times in church. So let me go ahead and jam over this. This is an impromptu jam, and I'm just going to show you how I can take my different approaches from low, middle, or high by splitting up the chord like that. First of all, I'll just lay down the actual chords, and then afterwards I'll show you what I can do with overdubs. Let's go ahead and check it out. Alright, so there's a couple of things I want to show you there. In fact, I played the open chords, I did some bouncy low note thing, then I did some bouncy middle note thing, and then I played a melodic line using some phrasing to kind of emulate the human voice, because that is actually a line from You're Beautiful that the vocals sing there. So let's start with first things first. If you're going to be playing open chords, it kind of makes sense just to play some kind of a repetitive pattern where you're not just picking C, F, A minor. You know, that's a little bit too much. It's all over the place. You want to get something that has got some kind of a repetitive pattern to it. So what I did in this case was something like this. C, F, A minor, 7, and then G. So you can hear my rhythm there. 1 here, and a 2 here, and a 3, and a 4 here, and a 1 here, and a 2 here, and a 3, and a 4 here, and a 1 here, and a 2 here, and a 3, and a 4 here, and a... So when you have something like that, it's repetitive. The congregation members, their ear can kind of latch onto something. There's a rhythmic familiarity that's happening. You outlining the chords, and there's some kind of a melodic thing happening as you're playing that over and over. So let me go ahead and just lay down just that one track again with the pad here. Let's check it out. Right, so there you were able to kind of just hear what's going on with that picking pattern, that repetitive nature. It kind of establishes something over there. Now, let's say if you're playing in a band, the keys are already doing that, and you're looking to add something to that that's kind of rhythmic. Well, you can either play the low note, like I've done. In this case, I played C over C. And then when we went to F, I still stayed on the C. And when it went to A minor, I still stayed on the C. And then for the B, for the G, I went to the B note. Why does that work? Well, the C note is in the C chord, it's the root. The C note is in the F chord, it's the fifth. And the C note is also in the A minor chord, it's the minor third. And then one down to the B. So when you do kind of bouncy parts like this, it's nice when you don't change the notes every time, because if I played there's a lot of big jumps and it's big intervals in between the notes, but when you keep things the same area, it kind of gives you a different feel. Check this out. So that consistent pulse works very well with an electric guitar. And if you have to ask me to make up a reason why, other than it sounds cool, is you kind of have to think about what statement does your parts make. And when we play in church, the statement is not about my skill or my ability or my preference in that regard. The statement needs to talk about something about God. So for me, a repetitive pattern like that with this kind of a tone, it's kind of a muffled sound like that. It's kind of gentle, there's that pulse, but the fact that it's the same part over and over and over, the same note rather, that to me kind of speaks to the faithfulness, the steadfastness of God, that is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, that we can count on Him. So there's a bit of a statement that makes for me. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and add some color to that, then I can do a similar thing, but now, instead of staying on the low note, I can say, okay, great, I'm going to play in the middle area of the guitar. And I might do something like this. You see what I did there is I just took the same notes that fit over those chords, but I played it on the higher string over here. Well, it's really the middle string. And then that just adds a little bit of a different energy to it that's going to cut through the mix in a different way. Whereas the lower notes with the palm muting, it's almost like a warm blanket kind of vibe, but it's got the rhythmic pulse. It's kind of making that statement like I mentioned. Or where if we want to just go up the octave, then I can do something with those notes. You have many different approaches that you can do as it relates to, or just on the G string, for example. You know, that kind of thing, it adds some melodic movement that just kind of draws in the congregation when they hear a part like that. And then finally, I can go ahead and play more melodically on the guitar. Let me show you what I did in that regard. I play this. So that is the melody that they sing in the song You're Beautiful. But instead of picking all of the notes, like if I were to play this in the wrong way, like let's just say it was a nursery rhyme and I'm playing it on the guitar, then it'll sound something like this. You know, that's kind of like if I do teach my kids to play that, then that's how they would go ahead and play it. But the thing is, we want to be expressive. We want to add phrasing, and we want to try and sing on the guitar. And that doesn't mean you have to shred or solo. It's not about shredding, it's about serving. But you don't have to kind of go crazy with the guitar to try and make it sing. You can just add some lyrical phrasing to that. So for example, what I did here, instead of just playing E, which is my first note, I can slide into it. And you can see there, the only time that I pick the note is I'm picking it on E, then on the D, pick, hammer, slide, slide. So I'm only picking it twice. But these slides, or the hammers, you know, it kind of adds something to the note as opposed to just coming right out and playing the note or picking all of the notes. That is too much. It's almost like you are shouting or someone is writing you a text message and it's all caps the whole time. It just doesn't feel right? You need to treat the message. You need to format it in some way, shape, or form so that it doesn't come across like you're shouting at somebody or whatever the case may be. So for this melody, I'll play it for you one more time. I'll play it for you slowly. You can just kind of see what I'm doing there. I'm just using hammer-ons, I'm using slides, and I'm using vibrato to kind of soften the sound. Because if you just listen to this, the guitar is quite abrasive in that sense. It's an overdriven, distorted tone. There's lots of delays happening. There's lots of reverb. So it's a very big sound. But if you don't treat it the right way, it's not going to come across as gentle and as sweet. And that's kind of what we want to convey when you play these melodic lines. So the whole idea that I want to share there with you is that this is more about singing on the guitar, more about making a statement, more about trying to communicate one of God's awesome qualities on the guitar and using the guitar as an instrument literally to go ahead and convey some kind of a message, some kind of an emotion, telling some kind of a story on the guitar as you try and sing on the guitar and really try and get kind of a vocal quality in your playing. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to let me know in the comments. And again, if you want the tabs of what I played, so you can actually go ahead and learn the melody as well as a track to jam this over, you can go ahead and just check that out in the description below. We'll have a link. Just enter your email, tell us where to send it. I'll send you the tabs, I'll send you a track, and then you can go ahead and try and emulate what I've done, but do it in your own way. And I'll leave you with this. The way that we speak, we all sound different. I've obviously got a different accent, but I've got a different way of speaking and communicating and kind of making my statements and getting the point across. And I want you to develop your skill, ability, and technique in a way that you can trust your technique to go ahead and use it as an expressive device and feel like you have the confidence, but also the space and the place to go ahead and express yourself on the instrument. And that will be something that really blesses God in a big way, because you are not just parroting somebody else's parts, but you are letting your emotions and your love for God kind of shine through in the kind of guitar parts that you play. Like I said, it doesn't have to be about shredding. It just needs to be about serving. And when you can go ahead and play in that way, bless God like that, it also blesses the congregation, because in a way you are demonstrating for them how to bring a sacrifice of praise, how to sing a new song unto the Lord, and how to be expressive like that. And I think that really is what God would like for us to do. And if you look at King David, God said it's a man after my own heart, and he was one of the most expressive characters in the Bible when you read the Psalms. So I want to go ahead and encourage you to take what's in your hands, whatever skills, abilities, and level of guitar playing you have, but make sure to let your character kind of shine through there and do it in a way that emulates the human voice as you sing on your instrument. Have fun. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. And again, the tabs are in the description for you. And if you want to use or learn some more of these articulation techniques to use in your playing, we've got a video about that right there.